Welcome to the Sunset Archon channel, where we aspire to gain from night to first light, and today is day 2 of our Breath of the Wild experiment, involving both the Switch 1 version of the game and the Switch 2 edition. Alright, we've already gone through it in the first stream, but, and I forgot that, one moment. Okay. There we go. For those that are new here, we will be playing we played the Switch version, and now we're going to play the Switch 2 version to see if the optimizations hold up in that were present in the Switch version, to see if that's still playable without needing to pay for the Switch 2 version. That Switch 2 update pack or just the Switch 2 edition. Because not everyone has $80 lying around for the Switch 2 edition. So if the $60 original still works and will be more than enough, then that's really all you need. Not everyone needs 120 FPS and all that. So that is the main question we are trying to answer with these streams. Is the Switch 2 edition worth $80, or is the $60 progenitor more than enough to be satisfied with? Alright. Since we spent the first 20 minutes of yesterday's stream downloading the mandatory update data for the original Switch game card, so you cannot play the Switch 1 version from the game card alone without downloading the update. So no 1.0.0. It seems that once it updated, it was at version 1.8.0. And that seems to be where the Switch 2 compatibility comes in, which explains why 1.0 isn't playable on Switch 2. It should still be playable on Switch 1. Should, but Nintendo does some funky stuff with its updates. So that is one of the important notes I have added to the description of this stream. Forced to update before game starts, unable to play version 1.0.0, Breath of the Wild on Switch 2, and it updated to version 1.8.0. Now, since we went through all the trouble of downloading that update, we're going to try something different at the beginning of this stream and with this experiment. I will be inserting the Switch 2 edition game card live into the Switch 2 and seeing how the Switch 2 responds, already having patch data for the Switch 1 game card installed. This is for those of you who actually start off playing the Switch 1 version of the game, but actually want to upgrade to that Switch 2 version later on. Whether you actually download the update pack from the Nintendo eShop, or you just go and purchase the Switch 2 edition outright from a store. Either way, this will be a scenario that many people go through, actually having pre-existing game data on their Switch 2 and wanting to update to the Switch 2 edition. And this scenario falls on... There are 3 games off the top of my head that fall under this scenario that could. That would be The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and the upcoming Kirby and the Forgotten Land Switch 2 edition that also has new content upcoming. That is Switch 2 only. So yeah, this is going to be a fun series of experiments. An expensive series of experiments, but fun all the same to actually document, so it is not just a massive financial loss for the community as a whole. So if you find these experiments helpful, give it a like, and share them with your friends. It's not about how many people see it. Well, it is about how many people see it, but it should be able to help you make an informed decision of whether the Switch 2 edition is worth it for you or not. So, after we put in the Switch 2, after we finish setting up the Switch 2 edition of Breath of the Wild, we're going to be starting a new game again and seeing just what performance upgrades are provided by this thing, because on here it just says improved graphical experience and added support for Zelda notes. And for the sake of these stream experiments, I did download the Nintendo Switch app so we can actually use Zelda notes, but this is a point of contention for me because it is just adding one more thing you have to do just to play the game. I miss the days when you could just read a guide. Nintendo would actually put out guides for their games. Ironic because Nintendo has put out several strategy guides, several iterations of strategy guides for Breath of the Wild, because one has the normal stuff, another is a collector's edition, and then another is a collector's edition with all the stuff from Champion's Ballad. And now they're adding even more stuff, but rather than putting out a physical guide for it, they decided to make it something that is built into a companion app. And just the idea of a companion app on your phone connecting to your console like that, it just feels off. And I know PlayStation has this, but PlayStation has a track record of having online services. Overall, those are pretty solid until they get hacked, unfortunately. But then there is Nintendo, which seems to be right on the cliff of internet connectivity. I've had plenty of issues with just disconnecting, and this has been my experience on multiple different Wi-Fis, not just my own. There have just been a lot of disconnect issues and just general lag with Nintendo online services, especially since they tried to centralize everything going through their own servers. So I do not have as much confidence in their companion app properly connecting to the Switch 2 as I would Sony's PlayStation app connecting to a PS5. I do hope that they improve it and that it does become sustainable. Otherwise, I feel like a lot of people are going to have a bad time, and quite possibly a lot of lawsuits, should this not actually be solid. Alright, with that out of the way, we are going to get started. I am going to put the Switch 2 edition for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild in the Switch 2, and we're going to see how the Switch 2 reacts. Okay, it looks like it was a smooth transition. The Switch 2 recognized that the original game icon was the same game, just a different edition. So it switched over from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the normal icon, to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Nintendo Switch 2 edition. And the version? It is still on version 1.8.0. So I assume that's I assume that's the version actually built in onto the card, but at the very least, this confirms that the application of updates or whatever card you put in is seamless. Okay. So now let's start this up and see if there are any other issues. Nope. Error code 21620102. An update is required for the upgrade pack. Please restart the software and perform an update. Okay, so there is an update required. So it looks seamless on the surface. But then, as you start it, then it asks for an update. Oh, that's just hilarious. Now, at least we got 5 minutes. That is much better than the loading times we've been getting. Now, as for Mario Kart World, I've been playing Knockout Tour a bit, and I guess I enjoy it. I enjoy the concept of a battle of attrition, endurance races. Then I tried free roam, and it is okay. I spent the first day on stream with you guys playing World, and I just went through all of the cups on the 50cc races. So for free roam, I just decided to drive around. Then I decided I'm going to choose one character, one racer to follow, just to get my driving skills up to snuff. Just a little practice run. And there were a number of times where the AI actually tried to lose me. Amusing, but futile. But there was one moment where the racer I was just following completely despawned, and I had no idea where they went. So I opened the map, and they were halfway across the map again. I chased them that far, so I decided to go back to them. And I tried to stay on the road. It was a little challenge for me to get used to the map. I did do a few of the P-switch challenges, but I noticed that the map was pretty barren. I'm not sure if it'll always be barren because I'm still playing on version 1.0.0. I'd like to document what I find a little bit more before I try to update. But yeah, it seems like, from my perspective, it's missing a lot of functionality in the map anyway. You find the P switches on your own. Even if you're in close proximity to them, the P switch doesn't show up on the map. It doesn't even show up on the map if you finish it. So yeah, I spent a bit of time on that, just driving around. Managed to get all of Mario's costume changes. Then I did 4 of the knockout tours. I have unlocked a few vehicles up to the ones you get for 1,000 coins for collecting 1,000. And here we are now at 80% and an estimated 1 minute left on download. So am I enjoying the Switch 2? Apart from internet connection, it hasn't caused me any grief. This is an excuse for me to play Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom again. However, with Mario Kart World, the experience, once you get over the nostalgia of the game itself, is kind of overwhelming. The nostalgia of having a new Mario Kart game. It just, you expect more. Alright. So we've got it up now. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Head back here. Plus. Okay. So we're still on version 1.8.0. That download was for the upgrade pack. And the case says includes the Nintendo Switch game and the Nintendo Switch 2 edition upgrade pack. Upgrade pack also available separately. Now, the fact that it asked us to download the upgrade pack means that it's not directly on the card. Or is it? Which is it? So even if you do get the Switch 2 edition, you still have to download the upgrade pack, supposedly. So, if you chose to get the Switch 2 version and downloaded it, and put it into your cart, and did not download the upgrade pack, you would technically be playing the Nintendo Switch 1 edition of the game at version 1.8.0, which explains that weird update version requirement when putting in the Switch 1 game card for it. Okay. So no matter which way you do this, if you want to play the Switch 2 version, you need an internet connection to download the update pack, the upgrade pack. Okay. Yeah, so we're just gonna overwrite this. The good thing about this experiment is that I don't really have an attachment to the save files for it. Alright, let's see if these light animations are any better. I think the light looks smoother.
Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Wake up, Link.
Definitely noticing some extra frames. Oh yeah, you can actually see them. It almost feels weird. 8 years of playing a game at almost 30 FPS.
That is a Sheikah slate. Take it. It will help guide you after your long slumber.
Alright. Yep, you can even see the additional frames in the menus.
Hold the Sheikah slate up to the pedestal. That will show you the way. Link, you are the light. Our light. That must shine upon Hyrule once again. Go.
Alright. So with this stream and the last, at the very least, no dropped frames. So what you are seeing should be everything. So let's get started. Alright. Took a screenshot at the beginning of the first stream. not take another one. Now then, we already stole the old man's apples during the first test. So let's be nice about it and actually ask for them this time. That's one way to grab an apple. Yeah, the smoothness. That's rather unnerving. I'll just leave the apple. Take the axe. Just seeing that thing twirl.
Link,
Maybe don't talk to me when I'm about to drown.
look for the point marked on the map in your Sheikah slate.
Okay. Alright, at least it remembered my jump settings. Here we go. Yes! Alright, we got a Hyrule Bass early. I'll take that. Okay, so these arrows are static. Alright, got the bow and arrow. Yeah, it may just be that I played this game for so long, but I feel like this game was meant to be played at 30 FPS. These extra frames just feel out of place. I hope it's just me. Okay. Alright, after this I'll have a good supply of food to start with. Previous stream I focused on apples. Alright, at least the extra frames don't mess with my aim. I really gotta stop dragging my finger across the plus button. That is a habit I need to break. Seriously, why is the button up so high? This is tradition at this point. Alright. All right. Now let's see how the rising towers look. Okay, rather than frames, I'm noticing a lot more dust being rendered.
Try to remember. You have been asleep for the past 100 years. The beast. When the beast regains its true power, this world will face its end. Now then, you must hurry, Link. Before it's too late.
Alright, camera looks smoother. Yeah, I'm just gonna go take the treasure. Yeah, no, you don't get to call your friends. My arrow ended up the same place in the last stream. Second verse, same as the first. Play it smart. Okay, an optimization I've noticed with the Switch 2 version. This. Whatever's in the chest shows up in that little box faster than it does in the Switch 2 version. I mean, in this Switch 1 version. So I would call that a benefit of the Switch 2 edition. No, wait, that was just a coincidence. It's the same amount of time in certain cases. Lovely. The one nice thing I had to say about it turned out it might be a fluke. Another case where you can actually see the extra frames. Oh, wow, wow. Oh, I gotta go back to the Temple of Time. Or somewhere near the temple. One of those dilapidated buildings by the Temple of Time. Okay. My eyes are still adjusting to 60 FPS. It's not in here. There it is. Copper pants. And we only have 2 shields, so we can't screw this next part up. Huh. Guess they just ignored the call. Boom. Since this game first took off, I have loved how fire just propagates to everything. Called it. I don't care. Come at me. Booyah. And bokoblin, or stalkoblins on the other side of this. Yep, so it is written. Thank you for the sword, though. Alright, this time I'll actually pay attention to the loading time. Okay. Yes, the loading time was fast, but I feel it was still saving when the loading screen came up, so the load was delayed, so it prioritizes saving over loading. Which, from a development perspective, is the right thing to do, but still it adds extra time to what should be dedicated loading. Remote bombs. Okay, that... Yeah. So the Switch 2 edition boasts on having faster load times, but that doesn't mean anything when it's trying to save and load at the same time. In the end, it's just slower than the Switch 1. At least that handles things one at a time. Alright, moving on. 2 more shrines. Wow, did a backflip. You missed. I finessed the bee removal too. Wait. They still didn't change that? You can't carry any more of those. They haven't changed that so you can't carry any more bows. So, weapons and shields have specific text. You can't carry any more weapons, you can't carry any more shields, but for bows it's just, you can't carry any more of those. And it's been like that for the 8 years since the game's launch. Alright, where's that arrow? Don't mind me just robbing your house. You haven't even started. Oh. That was a mistake. All that and that guy hasn't even made it that far. Alright, good to go. Target's up there, but I'm not climbing that. Three, two, one. This time I'm gonna steal their food stash. Ooh, they got bomb arrows. Fancy. Okay. So I figured it out. It's faster when you have absolutely no room to take in another weapon, shield, or bow. And the chest has one of those. But if you do have room, that extra time goes into putting it into a slot. No, I did that, but I actually need the peppers that are at the very beginning of this area. Swimming across that in any capacity is certain death. Nice. Your aim sucks. Ah, that arrow snapped. Sound of keys. All right. Now we just gotta propel down this cliff. Oh! Crud! Ah. Lovely. Fantastic. Well, at least I'm not far off from where I was. Okay. This time be very careful. Climb down. Okay, the 60 FPS is starting to look a little bit more natural. Okay. And we're good. That could have gone better. Forgot. Disengage, then recharge. I think I used this spear for the exact same thing I'm about to do now. Only this time the spear survived. All right. Back up on Mount Hylia. Yeah, you're too late. Later. Bye. Almost made the same mistake as last time. Going up the wrong cliff. Whoa! Throwing barrels at me. Okay, give me one moment. Yeah, I'm gonna need more time, so let's make this a 10-minute break. Use this time to get up, stretch, get something to eat, drink. Do what you gotta do, and I will try to finish this as quickly as possible. Sorry for the unexpected break. Alright, sorry for that abrupt break. Everything is handled now, and we're good to go. First direct confrontation.
Ho!
And now we can take that bake apple without consequence. Another sunset firefly. Broke my spiked Boko club upside its head. Well, that eye was unsalvageable. Why does it sound like a keys is stuck? Oh, right, I can salvage from these guys. I almost forgot about that. Alright, get another heart container.
Well done there, young one. Now then, the time has come to show you who I truly am. I was King Rome Bosphoramus Hyrule. I was the last leader of Hyrule, a kingdom which no longer exists. The Great Calamity was merciless. It devastated everything in its path, lo, a century ago. It was then that my life was taken away from me. And since that time, here I have remained in spirit form. I did not think it wise to overwhelm you while your memory was still fragile. So rather than that, I thought it best to assume a temporary form. Forgive me. I think you are now ready. Ready to hear what happened 100 years ago. To know Calamity Ganon's true form, one must know the story from an age long past. The Demon King was born into this kingdom, but his transformation into malice created the horror you see now. Stories of Ganon were passed from generation to generation in the form of legends and fairy tales. But there was also a prophecy. The signs of a resurrection of Calamity Ganon are clear, and the power to oppose it lies dormant beneath the ground. We decided to heed the prophecy and began excavating large areas of land. It wasn't long before we discovered several ancient relics made by the hands of our distant ancestors. These relics, the divine beasts, were giant machines piloted by warriors. We also found the Guardians, an army of mechanical soldiers who fought autonomously. This coincided with ancient legends, oft repeated throughout our land. We also learned of a princess with a sacred power, and her appointed knight, chosen by the sword that seals the darkness. It was they who sealed Ganon away using the power of these ancient relics. 100 years ago, there was a princess set to inherit a sacred power and a skilled knight at her side. It was clear that we must follow our ancestors' path. We selected 4 skilled individuals from across Hyrule and tasked them with the duty of piloting the divine beasts. With the princess as their commander, we dubbed these pilots champions, a name that would solidify their unique bond. The princess, her appointed knight, and the rest of the champions were on the brink of sealing away Ganon. But nay. Ganon was cunning, and he responded with a plan beyond our imagining. He appeared from deep below Hyrule Castle, seized control of the Guardians and the Divine Beasts, and turned them against us. The champions lost their lives, those residing in the castle as well. The appointed knight, gravely wounded, collapsed while defending the princess. And thus, the kingdom of Hyrule was devastated absolutely by Calamity Ganon. However, The princess survived to face Ganon alone.
Link, you are our final hope. The fate of Hyrule rests with you.
That princess was my own daughter, my dear Zelda. And the courageous knight who protected her right up to the very end. That knight was none other than you, Link. You fought valiantly when your fate took an unfortunate turn. And then, you were taken to the Shrine of Resurrection. Here you now stand, revitalized 100 years later. The words of guidance you have been hearing since your awakening are from Princess Zelda herself. Even now, as she works to restrain Ganon from within Hyrule Castle, she calls out for your help. However, my daughter's power will soon be exhausted. Once that happens, Ganon will freely regenerate himself, and nothing will stop him from consuming our land. Considering that I could not save my own kingdom, I have no right to ask this of you, Link. But I am powerless here. You must save her, my daughter, and do whatever it takes to annihilate Ganon. Somehow, Ganon has maintained control over all 4 divine beasts, as well as those guardians swarming around Hyrule Castle. I believe it would be quite reckless for you to head directly to the castle at this point. I suggest that you make your way east out to one of the villages in the wilderness. Follow the road out to Kakariko Village. There you will find the Elder Impa. She will tell you more about the path that lies ahead. Consult the map on your Sheikah slate for the precise location of Kakariko Village. Make your way past the twin summits of the dueling peaks. From there, follow the road as it proceeds north.
Alright, done with the Great Plateau in just under 2 hours. Not bad. Now we can use the rest of the time making our way back to Kakariko Village. Overall, the only thing I am explicitly noticing is the increased frame rate, which is really the only graphical improvement that I see. There's that, and also I wouldn't call it extended load time, but extended time on the load screen. Which really, it's baffling. Take that. That and that. Some of that. Alright. I learned my lesson from last time. I'm not gonna set off the talus. Not gonna do it. Gonna walk around the talus. Alright. There's my arrow. Yeah, even in the original Breath of the Wild, I was able to see the tail of my arrows before it gave that slight glimmer. That way I could go right to where I need to pick it up. Take this apple. Well, that sucks. The wind guides you. So, alright, so the next time I go through, a shrine, I am not going to skip any of the cinematics. And we're going to see if the load time is significantly better, because it might just be that I'm skipping too fast. Which, in the grand scheme of things, if that causes load times to be longer, you shouldn't have that option. Even if it would make things redundant. Yeah, it's just one of those annoying bits. Dang it. First rupees. Well, those fish are dead. Dead. I should probably do something about that rolling bomb. First crab! Between the two streams, that's the first crab. A blackened crab, but still a crab. Where'd it go? Oh, it disengaged itself. Alright. This tree is interesting. Oh. Boom. Whoa. It was swimming on land for a second. Sneaky river snail. Gonna need a lot of those. Mighty carp. I'll just leave the rest to drift. Boom. Give me your sword. Nice weapon. I'll leave you this axe.
I. Oh. Oh. Ah. Oh. Ah. 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 Eh. Eh. Ah.
does everyone seem so threatened when I use an arrow to light a fire? It's not that weird, is it? Okay. Take a hearty truffle. It doesn't need to be fancy. Hearty dishes will give you full recovery, plus 1 extra heart. So if you are just at the very end of your rope and you have a bunch of max heart and your maximum hearts is high, rather than using a bunch of smaller recovery items, something as simple as this will save you. Alright, a little bit of this. Dash of that. Okay. You see that? Top right, right behind the smoke of the fire. Octorok. Camouflaging as a bush. It's just waiting to snipe us. But we're gonna snipe it first. Confirmed. There we go. Now collect all the arrows. One thing I miss about Breath of the Wild compared to Tears of the Kingdom, just being able to walk about freely. No fear that a tree is going to jump out of the ground and attack me. No fear that a bunch of shadow hands are gonna pop out of the ground and attack me. I just have to worry about nighttime when skeletons pop out of the ground to attack me. Now that I think about it, maybe that pattern was long established. Okay, that's how I cancel the bombs. Just press the X button. Same cancel as everything else. Real shame that I can't drown the Zolfos. Just gotta go fishing. Nothing like some good bomb fishing. You think you could snipe me? That guy make it all the way over there. I barely looked away from him. No way he can run that fast. Yeah, whatever. What? Again, I looked away for a few seconds. How did he make it over here?
Ah. Ooh. Ah.
There's some weird stuff going on.
Ah. Ah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm just realizing I forgot the tower. Oh, whatever. Might as well do the might as well do the shrine since I'm already here. Timing is crucial. Bingo. There we go. Climber's bandana. I was supposed to stop. I was supposed to not skip this time. Restroom. All right. Beautiful. Okay. Okay. So, thinking about this, I'm wondering, is the 2 save file thing part of the Nintendo Switch 2 edition? Or is it part of version 1.8? And therefore, the Switch 1 version can also use 2 save files. But that begs the question, I most likely can intermittently switch between the 2 versions, the Switch 1 edition and the Switch 2 edition, because all of the new content is essentially linked to the companion app, which will only activate with the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. So with this, so with the layout of this software, in theory, I should be able to switch back to the Switch 1 version and continue playing that without problems. In theory. Good night. Ah, I missed! Go back to sleep. Course. Alright, plan B. Which I think was plan A in the first run. No, no, no! Move, move. Got it. The broadsword is safe. That's just a boomerang. Now, I don't know why I didn't think of this before. in the previous playthrough. So much less pain. Okay. No touching. And we'll see if the load time is any better. Nope, it still waits until you're saving.
Hi. Oh.
Alright, what horses do we have this time? And I just so happen to have exactly 20 rupees this time around.
Hey. Hmm? Oh.
And just like last time, we are at 0. Just gonna name our first horse Al again.
Oh. Hmm.
Now even the galloping animation looks weird. Again, it might just be 8 years of watching 30 FPS. All right. Hyrule herb. The good stuff. Amaranth. Got him. Strongest bow. All right. Plan B. Bombs and a sledgehammer. Always a good plan B. Jesus had these things since he was 2 years old. I'll leave Al right there. I did that instinctively. Okay. Now I need to make sure I get off Al before we get to Kakariko Village's gate. Why are you running into the wall? I know you don't want to listen to me, but you should at least act in your best interest. Okay, so it recognized the solution to this puzzle a lot faster than the Switch version does.
I. Mm. Ah. Oh.
Just gonna take this and this. Stop. Stop! Are you kidding me? One time I'm quiet, it's not here. Fine.
Ah. Oh. Oh. Ah.
I feel like I missed something that gives me a topaz, but at the same time I feel like I got it from a node. Alright, 300, that's all we need. Actually, we only need 120. I do want to work my way up to getting this stealth uniform. But that's for another time. Don't care. Let's see. How fast will he recognize it? Relatively fast. Since I plan on keeping this save file for further experiments, I might as well go all out. I got the honey. Even in a fresh save file, I've got everything. Why are you freaking out so much?
Oh. Oh.
So, you're finally awake. It has been quite a long time, Link. I am much older now, but you remember me, don't you? Ah. Oh. 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 Mm. Oh. The history of the royal family of Hyrule is also the history of Calamity Ganon, a primal evil that has endured over the ages. This evil has been turned back time and time again by a warrior wielding the soul of a hero and a princess who carries the blood of the goddess. With the passage of time, each conflict with Ganon faded into legend. So listen closely as I tell you of this legend that occurred 10,000 years ago. Hyrule was then blossoming as a highly advanced civilization. Even the most powerful monsters posed little threat to the denizens of the realm. The people thought it wise to utilize their technological prowess to ensure the safety of the land should Calamity Ganon ever return. They constructed 4 mechanical wonders that came to be known as the Divine Beasts. They also built a legion of autonomous weapons called Guardians. The Divine Beasts were piloted by 4 individuals of exceptional skill from across the land. And thus, the plan to neutralize Ganon was forged. Upon Ganon's inevitable return to Hyrule, the princess and the hero fought alongside these 4 champions against this ancient evil. The Guardians were tasked with protecting the hero as the Divine Beasts unleashed a furious attack upon their terrible foe. And when the hero wielding the sword that seals the darkness delivered his final blow, the princess used her sacred power to seal away Calamity Ganon. Oh. 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 Yeah. Oh. Mm. Ah. Yeah.
And that is the end of this playthrough at just under 3 hours. Most of that optimization is me getting back in the groove of things and also pretty much sticking to the same script I went with in the first test. for consistency's sake. But yes, there were a few things I've noted, and it seems like you could, in theory, play Breath of the Wild with just the Switch version on Switch 2 and not feel like you're really missing anything with the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Especially if you have no intention of using the Nintendo Switch companion app for Zelda notes. Honestly, if you're not using that, the only thing you're getting out of the Switch 2 edition is that upgrade pack that will improve the frame rate, from what I've seen. And also improve the loading times to a degree in certain cases. Anyway, I do plan on checking a few other things for this Switch 2 version, but this covers the basics of what to expect for whichever version you choose to play of Breath of the Wild on Nintendo Switch 2. As always, thank you so much to everyone who came to watch this stream today, and those who come to watch the playback later. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you will be notified of the future Switch 2 experiments I have planned. I plan to do the same thing with Tears of the Kingdom, possibly Kirby and the Forgotten Land, once it finally comes out. And I also have an experiment a short experiment that I would like to run with Princess Peach Showtime, because one of my glaring gripes about that game is how the loading screen with those stupid drapes just chugs and lags like nobody's business as the game is loading. Even if they don't put out a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of that game, I want to see if the improved hardware of the Switch 2, even if the game is emulated, will help improve that chugging frame rate of that one load screen. I hope to see you there. And if it does, that may add more credence to the benefits of getting a Nintendo Switch 2. At least in one case. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.